Indeed, that's correct. We'll get to the handwriting issue in a moment. But initially, we performed a digital forensic examination of the paper document. He hit a key and an enlarged view of the page materialized on the screen. Hidden among the paper threads, a series of minuscule dots, invisible without magnification, became visible. These are printer tracking codes. Numerous color laser printers insert tiny yellow dots that encode the device's serial number, along with the exact date and time of the print job. Ashley's jaw dropped in shock. By decoding these dots, we established that this page was produced precisely 6 months earlier. That's odd, I remarked with a chilling grin. How could an agreement allegedly executed 3 years back be on paper that only came off the printer 6 months ago? Then I stated deliberately and precisely. Put differently, this paper was created 6 months in the past. I glanced from my dad to my mom and at last to Ashley. And I can pinpoint precisely why you abruptly required a fake version 6 months ago. My dad's complexion grew pale. 6 months back, grandmother reached out to you and mentioned, "My career is at last settling down. I might head back home shortly." Right, I went on. You became alarmed. Up to that point, you'd been unlawfully living in Mandy's property and regarding it as Ashley's, relying solely on informal assurances. But as soon as grandmother returned and reviewed the ownership documents, your deceptions would come to light. Therefore, you quickly manufactured paperwork to provide yourselves some lawful protection. That's untrue. But had you requested my signature, your scheme would have fallen apart. Instead, Ashley imitated my penmanship and faked the sign-off, backdating it to 3 years prior. Correct. My dad gripped his skull and let out a moan. I'd struck the truth. Over those 3 years, they'd acted freely as they wished, banking on grandmother's absence. Yet the instant they learned of her possible return, they grew frantic and hastened to produce false proof. That haste caused their critical error. Lawyer Watson continued relentlessly. Based on the expert script evaluation, this autograph aligns with Miss Ashley Thompson's writing style at a 99% likelihood. This amounts to obvious counterfeiting of a sealed personal record. Moreover, Miss Thompson wrongly asserted she was Mandy's authorized representative and pulled out $1 million from Mandy's funds, claiming it was for upkeep expenses on the holiday residence. That qualifies as deception and misappropriation. Deception. Ashley started trembling violently. Jail. This isn't happening. Father, do something. You were the one who insisted that if we just antedate it, everything would be okay. You fool. Be quiet, my dad yelled. But it was much too delayed. Law enforcement has already been informed, Lawyer Watson declared evenly. Miss Thompson, legal action will be initiated against you right away. No. Ashley clutched her skull and broke into sobs. Father instructed me to handle it. He claimed Mandy's naive. She'd never realize. He directed me to simply mimic her autograph. I just followed instructions. Ashley, you're betraying your dad. My dad bellowed. But that's accurate. Mother agreed as well. She chuckled and remarked that Mandy wouldn't ever manage to settle her education debts regardless. So we'd better utilize the funds productively for ourselves. Ashley, stop talking now. My mom shrieked, rushing toward her. It was disturbingly repulsive. The same individuals who had been lecturing on familial ties and affection only minutes before were presently throwing blame at one another, frantically attempting to dodge responsibility. My grandmother observed the chaos with detached gaze and uttered softly, "That's sufficient." Upon hearing that, the yelling ceased abruptly. I've witnessed plenty of your disgrace. Don't remain at this gathering anymore. She addressed Lawyer Watson. Mr. Watson, the update to my testament is finished, isn't it? Affirmative, Mrs. Hanson. Lawyer Watson presented a fresh collection of papers. This is the most recent testament. It completely cancels the legacy privileges of George Hanson, Sandra Hanson, and Ashley Thompson, including Ashley Thompson's partner, and names Miss Mandy Hanson as the exclusive beneficiary of the full property. The full property? My mom and dad exclaimed together. Mother, hold on, please. Not that, anything else. We regret it. We've learned from our mistakes. Kindly. Any hint of dignity vanished, leaving just a person grasping desperately at wealth. My mom joined in. Regrets, mother. I experienced a lapse in judgment. It won't happen again. Kindly rethink. Overhead, my grandmother responded in a frosty tone. If you're seeking forgiveness, direct it to Mandy. She's the one harmed, not myself. My mom, dad, and Ashley's gazes all shifted to me simultaneously. Begging, groveling, yet beneath it, that identical presumptuous belief. Raced frantically. I don't possess any property, no retreat, not even a personal flat. I'm essentially without a home at the moment. I got evicted from my rental last month and have been staying with acquaintances since then. What? My grandmother's brow arched sharply. I suspected trouble. The moment I returned, I decided to visit the spot for a surprise check. You weren't present. Instead, an older pair I'd never encountered opened the door. They introduced themselves as the folks of Ashley's spouse, Kevin. Ashley, would you kindly clarify the situation? From my peripheral vision, I noticed my sister's hand shaking while clutching her wine goblet. Ashley. I shifted to face her. Her gaze flickered everywhere, her breaths short and rapid. Grandmother. Ashley exclaimed, nearly yelling. That there has to be an error. Perhaps you mixed up the location. Plenty of comparable properties exist nearby, and you've only just arrived. You must be worn out. Exactly, mother. My mom, Sandra, quickly interjected. Sweat beads formed on her brow. It's simply fatigue from travel. Your recollection is jumbled. Let's eat, the bird is cooling. Silence. My grandmother's command crushed my mom's remarks like a hammer. Even at her age, her volume was so commanding that the entire table recoiled. My faculties are still sharp. The location. The outside. It matched precisely the home I finalized the purchase for. And furthermore, my grandmother dug into her purse, retrieved a picture and pushed it over the surface. This is what Kevin's folks, occupying that residence, told me. We're residing in this dwelling belonging to our son's spouse, Ashley. The instant those remarks hit, Ashley's complexion turned ghostly white. The image showed a stunning estate beside the water, with Ashley, her husband Kevin, and his parents posing happily in front. Care to discuss this image? Confronted with undeniable proof, the atmosphere thickened intensely. I gazed at the picture, questioning my vision. It was the identical spot Ashley had shared online with the tag, #MyFreshRetreat, while I was exhausting myself with 3 side gigs. That was my property. What's happening? I rose abruptly. Mother, father, what's the meaning of this? Grandmother acquired a residence for me. So why am I existing as if roofless right now? To my query, my dad averted his eyes uneasily. Mother, it's complex. It's Thanksgiving today. Discussing finances during a relative's meal isn't quite suitable, right? We can review it thoroughly in my office tomorrow. My grandmother interrupted him icily. No, we'll resolve it all immediately. Mandy, you truly have no knowledge, correct? Regarding the $1 million retreat, I provided you 3 years prior and its actual usage. $1 million. The space world. My account balance this morning was $12.50. Laboring at 3 positions, foregoing rest, just to see it vanish into education debt and daily costs. $1 million was a figure beyond my comprehension. I know nothing. I've never viewed a retreat, and no one ever informed me of such a purchase on my behalf. Upon my statement, my grandmother's face eased a touch, a trace of sympathy appearing briefly. But it faded swiftly, substituted by a firm glare toward my parents. George, Sandra, weren't these your words to me? Mandy is psychologically fragile and unable to handle substantial funds. Until she gains stability, will serve as her overseers and oversee that retreat for her. What? I struggled to process it. Hold on, Mom, Dad. When was I declared psychologically fragile? I finished university with highest honors and have labored responsibly ever since. I've never burdened you, not once. Mandy, relax, my mom murmured softly. No warmth in her look, just a caution, avoid excess words. You're agitated now. Say, this illustrates precisely what I meant by fragile. Don't you dare. I leaped up. My seat crashed backward loudly. I am entirely stable. You're the ones who are twisted. When rent became impossible, you claimed I lacked effort and needed self-reliance, right? Yet secretly, you transferred a titled property to Ashley. Mandy, how can you address your parents this way? My dad bellowed, pounding the surface. We acted in your best interest. You lack the capacity for asset oversight, so we assigned it to Ashley. In my best interest. The ridiculousness numbed me beyond tears. Oh, be quiet, Ashley Thompson yelled. A dull, unremarkable person like you doesn't merit a gorgeous estate like that. We were simply utilizing it effectively. You ought to appreciate us. Ashley, you. My sight clouded with anger. My frame shook violently. This is kinship. Is this how blood relatives treat one another? Sufficient. My grandmother's tone sliced sharply through the chaos of voices. She stood gradually, supporting on her walking stick, and approached me. Then she rested her palm softly on my quivering arm. Mandy is correct. You all are corrupt, utterly corrupt inside. Mother, that's excessive. My dad protested, his expression contorting. We did it all for family unity. My grandmother regarded him frostily. No unity exists here. Only scavengers who devoured their granddaughter's assets. This evening all will be concluded. She withdrew a phone from her pocket and dialed a quick contact. Enter now. Affirmative immediately. The entrance swung open, admitting chilly evening breeze with a gentleman. It was Mr. Watson, my grandmother's dedicated lawyer. He held a bulky case. Mrs. Hanson, I've prepared every file as directed, Lawyer Watson stated professionally, placing a thick pile of materials on the surface. What's this about? My dad stumbled backward. George, Sandra, and Ashley, my grandmother announced. I shall detail each deceitful action you performed, document by document. Don't imagine escape is possible. I dried my eyes and raised my chin. The comfort from my grandmother's touch empowered me. Correct. This wasn't for weeping. And I had an obligation to ensure they faced rightful repercussions. In the utter quiet, my faint chuckle resounded. I rose deliberately, discarding the role of scared sufferer I'd portrayed so far. Feigning to dab tears with my cloth, I regarded my relatives with icy, unforgiving stares. Enough pretense, grandmother. Yes, precisely, Mandy. I've been quite amused. My grandmother responded, moving solidly beside me, her stick striking the ground. My dad, Mom, and Ashley were stunned by our abrupt shift. Oh, Mandy. Why the laughter? My mom inquired shakily. Can't you tell? You were all deceived, I informed her coolly. I proceeded relentlessly. 7 days ago, grandmother reached me. Not via you, but my aunt. She mentioned, it appears the household has been blocking my correspondence and purposely separating you. From then, we understood fully. Hence, we arranged tonight's scene. This supposed Thanksgiving meal. We awaited your relaxation and self-incriminating admissions. What? We were tricked. My dad blanched and attempted rising. Remain seated. My grandmother's single phrase anchored him. This isn't finished. Actually, it's merely commencing. Mr. Watson, proceed. Begin with the counterfeit transfer paper. The script review is ready. Lawyer Watson placed a file centrally. It was a property record. This estate, Lakeside Manor, was initially bought by Mrs. Hansen under Mandy Hansen's title. Yet the present listed proprietor is Ashley Thompson, your sibling. The shift date is October 15, 3 years prior. The transaction amount was $1. Basically a giveaway. $1. That valued my existence. I examined the date. October 3 years back. Precisely when I completed studies and started sinking under loan burdens and survival costs. The point my path veered off. I always sensed irregularity. I murmured softly. I excelled in graduation, held faculty endorsements, and reached late-stage discussions at multiple big firms. Yet inexplicably, each rejected me sans reason. I locked eyes on my dad. He evaded. During that period, unnamed messages went to those companies' personnel teams. Messages alleging Mandy Hansen has serious psychological issues and caused problems in school. What's your point? He feigned ignorance. Digital traces don't deceive, father. The messages originated from this residence. And timings align with your office hours. You deliberately sabotaged my employment, correct? Since independence would halt your misuse of my identity. No, it benefited you. And you, mother, I shifted to my mom. Now I comprehend why savings eluded me despite toil. And repeated credit denials. Lawyer Watson displayed banking records. This is Mandy's loan repayment account. She added funds monthly from gigs. However, amounts rerouted automatically not to lenders, but a concealed account under Mrs. Hansen's control. My mom inhaled sharply. Yet, mother, you insisted I lacked drive to emulate Ashley. Thanks to you, I became a default risk. Unable even to secure decent housing. You ruined my rating. Forced multiple jobs while fearing homelessness. My mom hid her face with shaky palms. My struggles weren't misfortune. Not insufficient work. A trap meticulously crafted by my parents. And you, Ashley, I faced my sister. She scowled as if wronged. Kevin's folks occupy the retreat, right? So what? Ashley retorted defiantly. Kevin's parents retired seeking peace. I permitted their stay. Any issue? Better than vacancy. You permitted. I arched a brow. Gratis. Naturally. Their kin. False. I signaled subtly to Lawyer Watson. Silently, he offered the subsequent paper. These are inflows to an account in Ashley Thompson's name. Lawyer Watson recited evenly. Monthly on the first, $5,000 arrives from Kevin Thompson's parents' funds. Labeled as lease payment. My grandmother spoke initially. Ashley, you not solely seized Mandy's property, but extracted lease from your relatives-in-law too. No, incorrect, Ashley wailed. That was upkeep charge. It's a vast estate. Maintenance expenses add up. And Kevin's folks are wealthy regardless. $5,000 monthly means little. Irrelevant, I stated calmly yet firmly. You appropriated my estate unauthorized and profited $5,000 monthly. While I, legitimate owner, scraped for meals. You were aware. Ashley's gaze shifted. Mother, hear me. My dad leaned in, attempting mediation. Admittedly, our approach was firm. But consider results. The estate is preserved, Ashley's relatives-in-law content. Isn't that superior overall than solitary Mandy occupancy? We could compensate Mandy later. A parting sum. No, a sympathy amount. And close it. A sympathy amount. My grandmother echoed lowly. Her wine glass stem groaned threateningly. When my granddaughter neared street life, you luxuriated on her assets and now sympathy funds suffice. But mother, Mandy's youthful. Trials forge strength, no. Silence. My grandmother's bellow filled the space. I corresponded with Mandy monthly. Inquiring, how's the estate? Any issues? No responses ever. Instead, George claimed Mandy's too fragile, even for gratitude notes. I shook my head. No correspondence arrived. Obviously not, my grandmother said frostily to my parents. All mail went here. You alleged fragility and retained them for her, never providing her true location. You destroyed my messages and severed our connection too. Correct. Because my mom yelled you were occupied overseas. The barrier between grandmother and me was clear. The distance plus the deliberate obstruction by parents. All pieces connected, exposing their full deceit. No more justifications, I declared, inhaling deeply and cueing Lawyer Watson. Let's verify legally. Lawyer Watson showed on his device the alleged transfer paper Ashley cited for title. Ms. Thompson, you affirmed this as valid handover from Mandy 3 years back, yes. Correct, check the date, Ashley shouted, sweating heavily.
Like, subscribe, and smash that bell before it smashes you. Stay with Reddit Tales Times for chilling twists, haunting tales, and daily doses of the disturbing. You've been warned.